This is a very quick video just to show some of the latest progress with the computer project that I've been working on. So what I've been doing lately is expanding my fourth implementation, and in particular expanding its support for the FAT16 file system on the SD cards. And in fact now, if I boot the computer, what we boot into is a dedicated manager for SD cards. So the command line here just has a small number of commands that are oriented around the SD card. So it's automatically mounted one of the SD cards, the one that's installed when it was booted. And if we look, we can see a bunch of files on here. In fact, if you look very carefully, you can see that there are some file names that occur twice, and that's because I haven't rebuilt this SD card since I was using it for test purposes. But you can sort of quickly look to see some of the files that are on this card. So some of them are text files, again, that I've been using for testing. Some of them are small fourth programs. So the fourth compiler or interpreter is now ROM resident. So instead of having to load it by Xmodem across the wire, it's right built into the ROM here. So in fact, if I just type fourth, we go straight into the fourth system, and you can see all the words that it's got there. This itself still supports the SD card as well, so we can do all the things we were doing before. We can tell it which of the block files we want to use, and we can look at code that's in there, and we can load and run that code and do all our sort of fourth resident software development just as we could before. But I want to show one other thing that is pretty cool. So if I leave the fourth interpreter here and we go back to the SD card, and as I said, it only has a small number of commands. But if you type something that it doesn't understand, what it'll do is it'll go looking up on the SD card, on the file system, to see if there's an executable file that matches what you've just typed. So these files that are labeled .x86, like the calc file here, those are executable programs. So if I was just to type calc, which is a command that it doesn't have, then it would go to the SD, after it knows it doesn't have the command, it goes to the SD card, sees if there's a file called calc.x65, and when it finds one, it loads it and runs it. And this is actually some old code I had sitting around ages ago that I was using to when I was first just doing basic arithmetic routines. So that's pretty fun. Now I can write anything as an executable binary, put it onto the card, and it can automatically run it. So let me show you one of those that's on here, which is Mite. And this, in fact, is a version of Microsoft Basic that is compiled up for the 6502. This is a very early one. It was originally for the OSI. That's the Ohio Scientific Instruments microcomputer boards, and you can write tiny little basic programs. Oops, getting that one wrong already. I can't talk and type at the same time. So now we can very, very easily write programs in BASIC as well as in fourth, and indeed we can run anything else. This particular version of BASIC itself doesn't understand about the SD cards, but I'm going to add a load and save facility to it so that it can be saving files on here as well. The other thing it doesn't do is it doesn't have a way of exiting, so we have to reset the computer to to go back. But this is I'm very pleased with how this has come along. All the software I've been developing offline is now on board and on the computer, and so I think once again this is going to switch back from being a software project to a hardware project, and I will start to build it out again as a new prototype, a rather more solid prototype on a wire wrap board, rather than the solderless breadboard that is being constructed on just now, which is still a bit fragile. Okay, bye.